You die and end up in heaven. After 1,000 years of an incredible afterlife, you enter into a state of depression. There is a portal where if you enter it, you will no longer exist in any form. Do you walk into the portal and end your existence, or do you continue to live? And we're going to start off with the person on my left, and Ali will be giving everybody the megaphone who is on the couch. And let's start with Emmy. And you have the opportunity to speak or pass, of course. And wow, do we have a lot of people? Yo.
Well, I think because there may be a way. Oh wait, is there a way out of this depression? Because if there is a way out of this depression, then I think the best way is to try and continue your life until you can try and recover from that depression. However, there is no exit, then yes to end years of suffering.
Right. Thank you, Emmy. Steve-O, 1967.
And I just want to say, use your imagination. The question is open to interpretation as you perceive it or interpret it.
Yes. So, Steve-O, you have the opportunity to speak or pass. Oh, and by the way, the next discussion is going to be a lot more moral type. This is just a quickie to loosen you up and get you warmed up. All right, Steve-O.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's always a way out of depression. So I would carry on and live.
Excellent. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, that's just what we wanted for the quickies. But if you have anything else to say, let us know. Ron, hi and welcome again.
Ron, hi.
Oh, you're quiet today, Ron. Let's try this again. I'm very sorry. This happens too often lately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off your megaphone. I'm going to switch it back on and let's see if it works, or else you might need to re-enter. Let's try.
Is this better?
Perfect.
Yes.
Better?
Much better.
Okay. Yeah, depression is caused by an imbalance in hormones. So what I would do is I would find an endocrinologist who has also gone to heaven, and I would ask him to check over my blood chemistry to see if I was missing a hormone or if I had a hormone imbalance, and I would have him prescribe something to correct that.
Aha.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. So it looks like everybody wants to continue their existence. The survival of the fittest. Jao. This is the guy that I thought was Jono yesterday.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I was here yesterday. Continuing on Ron's remarks. As depression is caused by typically a hormonal imbalance, and then you have cognitive behavioral therapy. You can see a psychiatrist that can prescribe you some drugs to help reestablish those hormones. My question will be, could you get into depression in the first place while in heaven? Because you wouldn't be associated to your body form. So that's my open question that I leave.
I mean, that is a good question.
It's open to interpretation.
Well, you know, I've created this type of heaven in this case, where you can enter into a state of depression. Because if you can go to heaven and enter into the state of euphoria and excitement, and that you can, you know, have everything that you've ever wanted, therefore, where is the point where is there only going to be sweet and good and it's just going to continue and there is zero balance between today and tomorrow? You know, if there's something that's the best, then is there something that can just be good for the day? So basically, I'm saying that there is that balance of good and bad, happy and sad. And I'll just continue my Dr. Seuss rhyme while I'm at it. Let's go to Pete Wowak. This is hard.
Hiya.
Wackling.
Wakeling,
Got you.
Wakeling.
Wakeling.
Hiya.
Wakeling.
Okay, I apologise if there's a dog barking in the background. Maybe they said
dogs
Alexander
go to
wept
heaven.
because there was no more worlds left to conquer. Yeah, so maybe, you know, after 1,000 years, your state of depression is because you've done everything that there is to do, and it's time to come to an end. And maybe if that's the case, it's time to walk into the portal. But to me, given the choice between existence and non-existence, I'd take existence, because I always believe there's something else, you know, more flowers to smell, more experiences to have. But if you do reach that stage where you've lived it, you've seen it, and everything is just a repetition of what's happened in the past, maybe it is time to end it. But I don't think 1,000 years is long enough to get to that stage.
Yeah.
So perhaps the people earlier on said see an endocrinologist, because I want at least 10,000 years to see everything and hear everything and feel everything.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Pete. And you know what? Like, even though I came up with this yesterday and I thought 1,000 years, then I was thinking, how egocentric or human-centric am I to think 1,000 years, because we're only basing it on our own lifetime, that the average person lives to 70 or 80 years of age. And then I'm saying, listen, if there's an eternity of this bliss, then I should have said something like after 10 billion years, you know. But as humans, I think that we would get kind of over it after 10,000 years. I don't know. But yeah, let's go to Ali. You know best. Is it Cave Scar?
Yes, Scar. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'll try and get all my ideas out as quickly as possible. I thought Pete was going to be on my side there, but I guess I am the first person that is going to be walking through that portal, because in the way that I interpret heaven, I have died, so my body has come to an end. So in heaven, I am a soul, so there is no real need for me to be depressed. And then going with what you said about the feelings of joy and euphoria, if you're in heaven where everything is good, there is no bad to create that contrast. So I don't see there's any way of getting out of this so-called depression that I found myself in. You know, 1,000 years plus what my 80 years on Earth is good. 1,080 years, I'll take it, and into the portal I go. I guess I'm not so egocentric that I want to live forever. I accept that my time is done.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're on the same wavelength there.
Very good.
Rebel Rain.
Rebel Rain.
Rebel Rain. Hi.
Say that 10 times.
Okay, if you're depressed in heaven, then you're actually in hell, and into the portal I go.
Wow.
Short and sweet.
Very-
Thank you so much.
very interesting.
KMC.
No problem.
Yeah.
Also the same wavelength there. KMC. Hi. Hold on one
KMC.
sec. Got a big list. Yes.
We do.
Gosh, this list is big.
Yeah.
Here we go. Gotcha. KMC. Hi.
Sounds not good,
Sorry,
KMC.
just hold on one sec.
I'll do it,
Yes,
Ali.
I'm just going to. Okay.
Let's try again.
Okay, can you hear
Let's
me
try
now?
again.
Yeah, it
Yes,
works.
thank you. Welcome.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a really interesting question or dilemma, I would say. I'm actually surprised that even like after it didn't happen earlier than the 1,000 years actually, that you will actually go into a state of depression, because like usually happiness is relative anyway. Like if I would win $1 million and I'll live in a huge mansion, at one point I'll be unhappy because there's nothing else to really live for. So I'm actually surprised that I don't get depressed sooner than those 1,000 years, actually. But on the other hand, like it's kind of like life. You just have to hope that there will be something out there, and even in this afterlife, that you'll be able to kind of refreshen your life dreams and happiness, hopefully. So I'm going to continue to live.
Awesome. Thank you, KMC.
Thank you.
The purpose. It seems like the purpose of the afterlife is just to live. All right, Diana 67.
Hey,
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm looking at the part that says, "Do you walk into the portal and end your existence, and do you continue to live?" I believe in the reincarnation, so I would probably go into the portal and end my existence and start a new one.
Thank you.
You can't do that, Diana. When you walk into that portal, you've ceased to exist. Diana disappears forever. There will never be another Diana.
I know, but right, there would never be another Deanna, but there might be a Rachel or a Brittany or a Charles or a Daniel.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, we can live in hope. Mike Z.
Mike's. Sorry. 6. Okay, Tim, you're gonna have to help me.
Sure.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it just refreshed. I got it. Mike Z, hi.
Thank you. How's it?
How's it?
How's it, Bree? So in all honesty, I think I would be so happy having gone from a position where I didn't believe in an afterlife to suddenly there is one. I'd be like, oh, sweet. I got a bonus 1,000 years. That was more than I was bargaining, and I'll dive into that portal. But I'll probably maybe make a complaint first to whoever the greater being is and say, look, this heaven thing, what's the point, man? Because if you think about it, your whole question brings about the pointlessness of an afterlife. You'll just be sitting around doing nothing. Yeah, you'll have these great pleasure things, point, man. It'll just be pleasure all the time. And pleasure's nice, but if you don't have a break, you're just going to be sick of it. It's probably why you're depressed.
Yeah.
You're oh, God, another day of euphoria. Oh, God, I miss the days when I was, in the office looking out at a grey skyline, Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, it's similar to a child. A child comes to you and says, "Mommy, can I have a candy?" And then you give him a candy, and then he gets that euphoria, and he's in a upper level, and then every single day he asks for candy, and eventually he's going to be sick of it. So it's something similar, except on a much broader basis. You get your yacht, you get to fly everywhere, you get to experience everything, but there is only so much utility, I guess, within a finite amount of satisfaction in the whatever universe or dimension, multiverse. Let's go to Billy Bob. Hello, Billy Bob.
Thank you.
Billy
Thank
Bob.
you. Hi. I would definitely agree with jumping into the portal. You're sort of taking half of my answer there. It does appear to me that if you think about your lifespan, as a child, you're living for yourself, and then as you get older, you start to live for other people and for the generations coming after you. And then once you're into this heaven, presumably everything's perfect, you're going to feel a little bit pointless. You can't improve anything for the people coming after you. And after you've had 1,000 years of all of the excitement and stimulation that you can have, you pretty much, no matter what's going on, you're just going to be flatlining, and you're going to be sort of at a level where you're just either constantly overwhelmed or constantly underwhelmed. It reminds me of, I've read about people who go into these sensory deprivation rooms where you can't hear a sound at all. You've got no stimulation at all, and people can only stay in there for 60 seconds before they start to go crazy without, just the hustle and bustle and things going on. So I think it would have driven me absolutely insane, and I would dive into that portal.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard about those rooms where when you walk in, first thing, it's very dark when you sit down, and the second thing is you can hear your blood pump. You can hear your blood. You can hear your heart pumping.
Yeah.
You can hear every bone in your body, and apparently that's also another reason that drives you crazy, because you feel your actual body for the first time, which is just crazy. Nice. All right, let's go to. Before we do that, I just want to warn you guys that I'm getting messages saying, can't come in, it's full. Ali and I have discussed this, that we're keeping to 30 people, and clearly we can see why. Because if we have a room of 60 people, we'll never get through the entire event listening to 60 people. So this is first come, first serve. And I would like to do another question, but let's see how it goes. I thought this was going to be a lot quicker. Let's go to Norway, Dylan. But you know what, Ali, before we continue, do you know that I was actually 2 minutes away from canning this entire question? I was 2 minutes.
No, I'm so glad you didn't.
I'm so glad I didn't. Guys, listen, like I've had this question for probably 3 years in my head. And then I was thinking, Altspace isn't ready. People won't get it. Like, this is amazing. So just, you got nothing to lose. Keep at it. All right, sorry. Norway, Dylan, it's all yours.
I think it's an interesting question because the Buddhists and Hindus, they believe that the reincarnation is a form of suffering, and the highest level you can reach is not being reincarnated again. But I understand, personally, I would want to live a long time just to see society changes. Like imagine people 100 years ago seeing women's rights, gay rights, and how people don't have problems with polio anymore. But the interesting thing about being 1,000 years is I've seen people that are 100 years old in an old age home here in Norway. And some people get very lonely because all their friends and relatives are dead. And then you have people from the Holocaust and people who have survived AIDS, and they feel survivor's guilt because all their friends are dead. So, you know, it works like that. But I would want to live just to see the changes, even though all my friends and family would be gone.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You probably would see all the changes from during the beginning of like Neanderthals, Homo sapiens. Like, where is the point where humans are the ones that go to heaven? And what about all the predecessors that are way before, thousands and thousands of years? Are our fish ancestors or our primate-like ancestors all in heaven? But anyway, that's food for thought. Let's go to Coyote Clover.
Coyote Clover.
I'm sorry. You're going to have to pass me because my dog is barking. I apologize.
Well, you've proven that all dogs go to heaven, so you
sure?
may continue, Coyote.
Okay, let me try and mute you.
It's definitely a sign, because we've heard 3 dogs in this one event, and I don't think I've ever heard a dog in an event, and today there's just been dogs. It's great.
Okay, I can't seem to unmute you. Okay,
well, just raise your hand, Coyote Clover, and those who would like to share your thoughts, ideas, answers, raise your hand. And if you'd like to pass, raise your hand so you can tell us you'd like to pass.
Yellow Majesty. Hi.
Yellow Majesty. I don't know what I'm on today, Ali.
Hi there.
Hi.
It's good to be
It's
back
Friday.
here.
Yes,
Perfect
good to have
energy.
you.
Yes,
Yeah,
very
you
good
too,
energy
and Timon
compared
is
to
on
2 weeks ago.
ecstasy. Very good energy. I love that. So this is a very good question, and I think the majority of the people have addressed many of the different aspects which you can incorporate into your analysis of this question. So my take on this question is that the very interesting part of this question has to do with your conception of heaven. So everything boils down to what conception of heaven you have or not. Because I was sitting here and having a thought experiment. What would happen if we would exchange heaven to earth? Like if this was an ordinary scenario for me in everyday living, that I fall into a state of depression, with the distinction that I cannot live for 1,000 years, of course, on earth. But everything else is pretty much plausible on our planet as well. But because it's heaven, and because it's after not 10,000 years, thank God, every 1,000 years of an incredible afterlife, that would imply that there are many, many possibilities for even more incredible parts of the afterlife in heaven. And this state of depression could be transcended through whatever meditation or whatever your remedy is. But from an existential perspective, suffering is inevitable. I think Dylan here addressed it from a Zen Buddhistic perspective, whereas there are other philosophical perspectives that advocate similar. But my personal take on this would be to go into the portal, because 1,000 years is good enough for me. And it's not because of the depression, it's because I think that there may be other possibilities worth exploring.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Ultra Funky. Hi. Ultra Funky. Oops. Sorry. Hold on 1 second. Gosh, this list is big. Ultra Funky. Hi.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I did as yellow, and I started to think like, how would this apply to living on Earth? You know, like if you look at the mechanicals for you're still a living, you're a human being, but you're just transcending into heaven, but you're still a human being. So I will like to address something that Ron said, that it was like chemical. I think that it's mechanical and chemical, but I think it's more mechanical. And I'm thinking like this, is if every day was a Sunday, like you have an incredible afterlife, Sunday would be a boring day. So that's the thing, like, of course it's going to be boring if you have an incredible afterlife. You will go into depression because nothing is happening, nothing is changing. And I was thinking like, then you flatline. But if you think life as a heartbeat, you go up, you have the good times, you go down, you have the bad times, you go up, you have the good times. And that is something you need to feel alive. So you need those changes. Nothing should be perfect all the time. And I'm also thinking like this in the mechanical sense, is that when you normally go into depression is because you lack some tool sets. You don't know how to feel about things, you don't know how to think about things, and you don't understand things correct. So you will go into the depression, and in the way you go down into depression, you will feel pain. And that's the way Dylan will go. And you will feel pain about the things, but the pain is for you to learn from. And when you learn, you can change who you are. And that is going to be tough for a while, but then you're going to change, and then you're going to find your life again, and then you want to continue. So I'm seeing that going into the portal and disappear is like taking your life. So I don't see that's the way to go. I understand that the pain can be tough, but the pain is for you to get the tool set to continue another 1,000 years. So that's my take on it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank you, Ultra.
Saint Justin. Hi, Saint Justin.
Hey there. How are you doing?
Hi.
Good. How are you
Good,
doing?
thanks.
Good. So I don't know. I mean, I'm a universalist, so this question seems a little odd to me personally. I do agree with what Ultra here just said. I mean, in my perspective, heaven is, the other planets that exist out in the universe. So if you die and go to heaven, you just go to another planet and live on that planet, or come to this planet, or whatever. So as far as that's concerned, it's relative. You have depression anywhere. You have life. You have, happiness anywhere you go. It doesn't matter if you're on this planet or another one. You're going to have depression, or you're going to have life, or you're going to have love, or you're going to have satisfaction, or you're going to have, the opposite. So it doesn't really matter where you go. The same forces still exist no matter where you are. As far as the 1,000-year thing, I don't know if I could. I mean, everyone that exists in this room has existed for an eternity already, in some form or another, either by matter or by spirit. Everyone in this room has already existed. We live eternally. So 1,000 years doesn't even cut it. I mean, we have already lived billions and billions of years, trillions. We've already lived infinitely already before now. So 1,000 years doesn't even compute to me.
I would argue that it's your memories that makes you live. Our existence without memory, without consciousness, well, there is no time. So billions of years can go by without us even knowing. If there is another form of life after we die, technically for us, it is instantaneously. But for the universe, it could be trillions of years that pass before the accumulation of all the cells and all that comes together to form type of existence based on the Goldilocks zone within a planet or a dimension or etc. What is a universalist, St. Justin? And then carry on.
A universalist is just someone that just believes in the factors and the elements and the scientific findings that we find on this planet, and just applying that throughout the entire universe. Just trying not to, stalemate ourselves into the thinking that, life only exists in this tiny little pond we call Earth. There's an infinite amount of planets. There's an infinite amount of stars. We could rotate around any one of those stars and survive.
But don't you think you've stalemated yourself to the multiverse theory and to other dimension possibilities on other laws of the multiverse?
No, there could be multiple universes. It's all frequency anyways, so and that's all relative. Cool. It's not,
Awesome. Thanks.
Realistically, right now we only see a sliver, a very tiny, fraction of actual visible space. So there could be a planet right next to us, and we would never even know it. There legitimately could be another planet that's sitting right next to us, and it's outside of our perception. We could just not see it.
Cool.
Depending on the frequency, it's resonates.
All right. Cool. So we gotta move on now. Thank you, St. Justin. Yeah, I tend to move off those tangents. So you're not a universalist, you're a multiversalist. Keith, feel free to speak.
Hi
or
guys,
pass.
Can
Hello.
you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll speak, seeing as I've waited so much till the end. It's obviously a disadvantage sitting at the end.
You really can move to any part of the couch at any time.
I'm only joking, guys. I really took on board some of the views. I think where I stand is pretty much in the same camp as Ultra Funky, although I think the question for me, when we look at a question like this, it's almost like we're kind of looking in things in duality, and I have real issue with duality. We've got good, we've got bad, we've got happy, we've got sad. There's no such thing. We everything is on a scale. And so when people initially say depression, we automatically think that must be something that's bad. And I like what Ultra was saying there, that, depression doesn't have to be bad. Depression is that state where we go back, we retreat, we reflect. And ultimately, it's when we grow. And I think most of us in this room have probably realized that it's through the most difficult times in our lives that we actually move to that next plateau. So the question is a false question in a sense that it's trying to draw us into a belief that depression is a bad thing, when in reality, you've got to go through that depression to find the new place on the other side. So absolutely, you wouldn't walk into the portal. That would be the absolute wrong thing to do.
Awesome.
That's my take on that.
Great take on it. Great words. Let's go to D.
D, hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, it's my second day in this. Let's see. Well, I was always born and raised that heaven was to be a place of depression wouldn't even exist if I was to be in heaven. So I don't know. After living a life of how I've always wanted to live it, I think I would have to end my existence and not continue to live.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, D. Before we go to hand raisers, let's go to Ali. Ali.
Well, I'm not going to answer it straight away. I'm going to raise a few questions. First of all, what is heaven, right? So when we die, our body doesn't go with us. Hence, our brain doesn't go with us. Our supposedly soul goes to heaven. Another thing, 1,000 years in another dimension can mean nothing, can mean eternity. So again, that's relative. What else? Gosh, I had so many things to point out and now I've just gone blank. Okay, another thing. So the fact that we leave our minds behind and our brains behind, is depression a state that our soul can actually go into? Supposedly that it's on the higher dimension. Another thing, our soul, if it is energy as science perceives it, do we stay individual? Do we go back to a collective soul energy? And do we actually have the fact or the ability to choose to stay in depression or live in the euphoria? Another thing, soul is energy. Energy gets transferred in the universe, as we know. It doesn't really die. Does our energy get transferred into our other responsibilities, other tasks, other planets? So again, I think it's just an ongoing process. Just a few questions and maybe a few answers raised there. Yes, I think I pretty much covered it.
Well, you haven't covered the answer.
Let's go to hand raisers. I haven't covered the answer.
Would you go into the portal and end your existence, or would you continue to exist?
I would continue to serve. I think energy is part of a universal process. It has a certain function and the energy will just get transferred. I don't think it can go into depression or just maximize its ability of euphoria. It would just go into other responsibilities, other tasks, and other realms. I don't know.
Right.
So I would definitely continue my existence, to answer the question.
Cool.
If I had the choice.
Let me go to my answer before we go to hand raisers. And yes, please raise your hand, because believe it or not, we're sticking to this question, and then in 2 weeks' time. Oh, by the way, guys, Yellow Majesty and everybody, we're doing the moral and social dilemma once every 2 weeks. So if you do manage to pop in, because there's a lot of people, then awesome. You guys enjoy the event. But once every 2 weeks, we've got a number of reasons for it. But the main one is so that we can stick to one major topic and then follow through with a week or 2 weeks into it, similar to what we're doing with Oh My Brain, which seems to work. So if I think about my life on Earth, it's basically we need purpose. So being on Earth, we have this limited time, and so when we wake up, we force ourselves to do certain things within our limited lifespan, and we don't have the time to waste, right? So if I was in heaven, the most important thing is not just euphoria and bliss or another dimension, but it's also purpose and a quest. Because, you know, if you're just floating there for no reason, you know, other than just existence, then I personally might enter into the stage of depression, as I've created this world during this debate. But what I would do is, if I just cannot shake it, if I've been through everything, whether it's 1,000 years, 10 million years, whatever it is, and I just can't shake this, I don't want to exist anymore, where you're literally forcing yourself to be and exist. The only thing that I would do is find new purpose, and that is to delete my memory maybe and start again with life on another planet, or just remove my memory from this heaven and start again in heaven and just repeat by doing that. Because what would cause depression is the experiences that you have based on the life that you have. You know, if you restarted that, then technically your depression should just fall away. But I would never walk into that portal. Existence, already you and me, we're living a cosmic lottery of trillions and trillions of like possibilities that we would not be around on Earth. So we are in a cosmic lottery of actually being alive, and no way in hell would I how's that no way in hell? No way would I want to not exist. It's just absolutely incredible if you really think about it. Like your great times 1,000, no, times 50 grandfather could have got up before you had sex, got a drink of water, and you wouldn't be around today. That is insane. Okay. Okay. Let's go to hand raisers, starting with Beatrix.
And not to forget that you were the fastest sperm cell to reach the ovum.
Beatrix, you were the fastest sperm cell.
Yep.
You're incredible.
Yep. So I'll answer the question first.
Yes.
And say never, ever, ever would I ever choose to eliminate my life. And no matter how bad depression is, I've had some mild bouts of depression, but I've had good friends who've had severe bouts of depression. One of the major differences is that they seem to think that her bouts of depression are genetically caused. I mean, it runs in her family, and her brother committed suicide and her father committed suicide after severe depression. And so I'm assuming that if we're up in heaven, we're not having to deal with that particular issue, which I consider different than being bored to death. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Good.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrix. Let's go to Emmy. Another little sperm. Emmy.
Right. I realized what I said earlier did not fully say what I believe in. Firstly, I've had seriously severe depression. But I think I agree with Keith. That was a moment for change for me. Very big moment for change for me. And I don't think I would be the person I am today if I wasn't. And I think that because I believe in the afterlife, I believe in reincarnation. If I enter that portal, even though there won't be another me, there will be someone else, and my soul will go on to someone else. So would I really want to destroy someone else's life just because my life is bad? I don't think I would, because that wouldn't be fair to that new person. I'd rather continue that. I'd rather give that person a life if they had my soul than not give that person life just because I'm upset. Did I have anything else?
It's an interesting interpretation.
I don't think that's all.
I mean, this all depends on, like, listen, if there's a heaven and I chose that a God gives you the choice of walking into the portal or not, because right now people are dictating, saying, this includes Ali. Ali, you're also guilty of this, and that's saying that your energy is transferred from one place to another. But if there's a God, then God technically could be the big thing that created that energy, and literally he can put you into a paper shredder and that energy will just be lost, you know. So we are thinking of the confines of our own laws, but outside our own laws, who's to say that energy cannot just be destroyed? Food for thought. Wow, we have a lot of hand raisers. I love the confidence, guys. Let's go to Keen C.
Hi, that's me.
Hi.
How's it going, everyone? Hello. I might have maybe a bit of a different perspective on this. I actually have almost lost my life due to a cardiac event a long while ago, as well as having suffered from some pretty major bouts of depression, and to the point where I did consider ending my own life, but I checked myself into a hospital, took care of it. So I have a couple of different perspectives on this. Coupled with all this, I actually also wrote a book on the concept of the afterlife too. So coupled with all of that, I think people might be shocked to hear me say that, interpreting this question, if I came to face the portal, would I do it and end my existence and discontinue living in any way, shape, or form? I honestly probably would. And the reason for that is because ultimately we can have too much of a good thing, right? Speaking as an American, the country of overindulgence, and we can't eat our favorite dessert for every meal. We can't be on VR all the time. We have other commitments. I think ultimately we might get bored with something like that. And I look at life and living the same way as possible. I also view it as I'm a carbon-based life form. When I die and my body dissipates, that carbon will be used in other life forms. So the circle of life continues in some other way from my passing. So I'm not completely heartbroken about it, but I think that's ultimately where I come from, is just at some point, too much just becomes too much, I think, and we can only take so much of a good thing.
Thank you, Keen. It actually had, it brought another question to me, Ali. Not a moral dilemma, but something that maybe Real Talk could consider, fake ravens. And that is, is life for everybody?
Why wouldn't it be? I don't see the reason.
Where it's just to the point
we
where...
were the fastest sperm spell.
Yeah, but that was through instinct and through habit. But now what I'm saying is life for everybody? Why, life might be amazing to you and it might be the greatest thing, but for others, it might be like a disease that they don't want to exist, they don't want to live. I'm not sending out any seeds, but I'm just having that question.
The thing is that that route should be examined, why people don't want to live. Their environment, toxicity in their life, traumatic incidences. There's always a root cause, I believe. That's just my perception. I'm not saying that's what it is.
Okay.
And those factors should be investigated.
I think so. I think it's an interesting question. Is life for everybody? Let's go to Pete Wakeli. Hello there.
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Excellent. I think one of the things that's really making this question difficult is we answer it as the people that we are. And what are we? We may be 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. We've not died. We've not been transmuted into heaven. Now let's just put ourselves, we can't, I say, let's try to imagine it, but we can't actually imagine it. We've lived a life here of 80 years, 90 years. We've died, been transmuted to the afterlife. We've had 1,000 years, not of just bliss, but to enjoy philosophy, the arts, science. We've learned so much. Earlier, last time I was speaking, my dog was barking. Now my dog, she's a very clever dog, but I can't teach her mathematics. And who we are now and who this person is in 1,000 years' time after our death, is as different to us as my dog is to me now. And it's this makes the question difficult, because we are, after 1,000 years in heaven, we're going to be such a different being. It makes it our perspective makes it very difficult to answer this question. Just coming onto a second thing, a lot of people have been talking about energy, and yes, energy is eternal, unless God can put it in the paper shredder, as you said earlier on. It can neither be created nor destroyed. But we're not just energy. We're also, because energy is unorganized. We're information. our memories, how we're organized is information. And perhaps, although energy is eternal, information can be destroyed. And certainly the chaos theory says that entropy increases over time. So this suggests that the universe is in a state of perpetual information loss. That's about it.
Unless the energy withholds the information as well. But it's something, like you said, comparing the dog with understanding the way we understand
We've
things
got
as
a
well.
long way to go.
Who's to say that the information that you're talking about is confined to the dimensions that we know? Maybe the information, whenever we learn something, whenever we spark, with our neuroplasticity and we fire neurons, maybe we're creating universes alone. Maybe those are big bangs. Maybe we are creating the big bangs to begin with. Wow. Ali?
It's all about perception.
Because if you think about it, everybody says, look how vast the universe is. They say it goes on forever, hundreds of millions of kilometers, trillions of kilometers. But like between your fingers is an infinite universe. Because if you halve that distance, and you keep halving, you will never get to your fingers. It'll become, yeah, exactly, Keith. There is a universe between your fingers that you don't even know of. We just think of how big the universe is. Imagine how small the universe is between our fingers and how many universes there are in there. Other food for thought. Okay, let's move to... I have extended this event just 15 minutes later. And then it'll be past Ali's bedtime, so she'll have to leave. Keith, no wait, let's go to... Ooh, okay, let's go to Ali. Keith.
Yes, can you hear me again?
Yes.
Hello. So mine's pretty brief, I hope, Timon. Just following on from what you and Ali were saying, actually, or similar. I have an issue with the time, and this follows on what you were just saying. And I have this conversation with people quite often when they talk about creation theory and how God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. And people say, well, how can it happen in 7 days? And well, it's quite simple, because a day, as we understand it, is only a revolution of our earth around our sun. The turning of so 1 day is only an earth day anyway. So this idea of 1,000 years, as you were saying, Ali, 1,000 years in an afterlife could literally be the equivalent to 1 second in our earthly existence in any case. So first of all, I have an issue with the time, because we can't compare. But I also have an issue with this incredible afterlife. And I think somebody over there was saying that at the start when they answered. We're looking at this on a linear scale. You wouldn't be able after 1,000 years to suddenly say, well, that was incredible and now it isn't. 1,000 years of our current magnitude is so long that there would be ups and downs all the time on that. And again, back to what I said earlier, you wouldn't, and other people have said, you couldn't have the ups if you didn't have the downs, because you'd have nothing to compare against. So how would you know it was an up if you hadn't had a down? So the whole idea of suddenly after 1,000 whatevers, something becoming different, it just can't happen.
That's why I said it's relative. Yes.
Exactly.
It's relative to experiences. Because if you put your hand on a stove, 2 seconds of putting your hand on a stove feels like forever. When you say 1,000 years in heaven, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean the earth going around the sun? What does the earth and the sun have to do with time anymore? So it's definitely
Is time
open
in
to
another dimension?
It's definitely open to interpretation, and I agree 100%, Keith. I mean, what did I read the other day? Is it snails? Snails sleep for 3 years and then live for a couple of days and then die. What a life is that?
Yeah.
Something like that. Wow,
well,
relative.
guys, the headset's going to go. Sorry, I didn't realize.
It's all good. We're saving the question for next week, next 2 weeks. But thanks a lot, Keith. All right, let's carry on. I do want to get to everybody. So we have Mike Z. How's it?
Hey, man. Yeah, I guess I feel like we're getting really into some like semantics and quite detailed bits. For example, and I think actually you can be depressed after 1,000 years because it will be a slow build-up. But also, I worry we're focusing too much on the depression because there are people here who may be suffering from depression right now, and actually, if you've been through it, you ending your life or having it end doesn't sound like a terrible or bad thing. So I worry we're really drilling into that a bit much, and it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't want to focus too much on that, especially from the aspect of if we are in this afterlife, it will be a very different depression. It's like an escape. So my personal experience would be that I'm currently medicating for some depression, and there are times where I'll be lying in bed and I'll be like, you know what, if lightning struck me and I was dead, that's okay, because all these other things in my life would end, and that's okay. If I was in heaven, I wouldn't do anything, I wouldn't cause it myself. But if I was heaven and I'd lived for 1,000 years, or what seems like 1,000 years to me, because that's why I don't want to get into the semantics of how long is it to you, it will feel like 1,000 years regardless, right? We don't need to argue on that. So if I've had that 1,000 years of life and I've done all this stuff and life has been super awesome or whatever, actually, I just think it's where the human ego needs to stop, and you need to go, you know what, 1,000 years is pretty fucking decent. I'm going in there. Oh, sorry for swearing, in case we're not allowed
You're
to.
allowed. You're
but
allowed.
I like. Cool. Yeah, I just think I worry we get so wrapped up in these like thoughts around the energy transference and this and that, and actually, we're just gonna end it because, you know what, 1,000 years is pretty better than I thought. I don't know. It's hard to put all my thoughts into words. There's been so much going on, but yeah, it's an interesting concept. So
well, the first
Sorry,
thing is
cool.
like, let's say, so if you're going through depression, the first thing is we can talk about the cosmic lottery. Like, it is incredible that we have this life and we can actually appreciate this. And I'm sorry, I'm not in, I don't have any degrees in psychology or anything. These are completely my thoughts, and they might be completely wrong. But like, if you think about when we are on Earth, what makes us wake up in the morning anyway? What makes us wake up knowing that we are one day closer to death? Is it the purpose that we have? Is it the passions that we have created for us? And then in heaven, like, are you going to be creating purpose and passions? Because right now on Earth, why do we keep looking at what's new in technology, what's new in the news? Because we as humans, we want the next best thing, the new thing. We want to learn new things. And then in heaven, I would like to think that there is some form of evolution to create some form of continuous growth of information, data. But now I'm going into the science things of it rather than the spiritual aspects of it.
So, well, yeah. So when you mentioned about going to another planet, etc., like I genuinely think I agree with you there, because it's like, without a purpose, what is the point of life? So for me, the issues I've had over the last sort of 6 months is just the way the world has changed. I work from home every day. I see my partner like once a week, maybe, and that is my human interaction in the real world. And I'm grateful for that. But I don't get to go out in London anymore and see my friends, or just walk through Soho and stop off in a comic book shop and buy a comic. Like, all of that's changed, and it's a lot to deal with. And so that purpose has almost been kind of structured. So if I was in heaven, I don't know what my purpose would be. I genuinely, I think like, and so with you, I would go to my creator and go, look, this is pointless. What am I doing here? Can you send me somewhere else? Even if you want to turn me into an angel and I have to smite some demons, whatever, man, just send me out there, and I'll rather die fighting a demon than walk through this portal. But if you don't give me a purpose, I'm going through that portal. So use me wisely, great almighty power. Yeah, I guess. Well, like, it is that simple for me.
If you have free will on Earth, you have the free will to wake up, to choose what you want to do, create your own purpose. Now we're in the era of infopreneurs where we can build our own businesses. I built my own business over 4 years, and I'm never going back to a job. It is fucking liberating. And so I've created my own purpose inside this. To go to a heaven, for example, and go to a deity and saying, please, can I have a purpose? Makes me feel like, you know, I'm a marionette, a doll to begin with, and I'm just following the norms of heaven, which I never did on earth. And now I'm doing it on heaven. I would be depressed within like a couple of days, and I would need to find that purpose. I mean, yeah, exactly. Fighting those demons and all that sounds pretty cool if there is nothing else to do, if there's no technology. Yeah, if we go back to how it was 2,000 years ago, and we're like, what is this? Can we have like phones? Nope, no phones here. We're sticking to the old traditions. Thanks, Mike. Let's go to Yellow Majesty.
Thank you. Very interesting conversations here. Some of them are actually funny to listen to. I was thinking about two things. First of all, you prompted a question before, Timon, whether or not life is for everyone. We really don't know that. We can only speculate based on the accumulated knowledge within different areas of human conduct. So we really don't have any absolute truth to that, nor do we have absolute truth to anything else. So everything is pretty much open for interpretation or perception. So with that said, as the basic premises for how we should treat things we really don't have any clue about, because we really don't know how a heaven looks like. It could actually be an instance of hell, which you're describing through this scenario without we actually know it. But what I was trying to come to is this very notion of life and what the purpose is and how you can actually live a meaningful life regardless in the situated place or space you're located in, whether it is on this planet, not a planet, in a metaphysical realm, or whatever. We can only speculate about these things which are open for imagination. So heaven is definitely one of those cases. What I was thinking about in relation to your question about whether or not life is for everyone or not, I was thinking about that in terms of heaven, whether or not heaven is for everyone or not. If heaven is this bad, as you are describing it in this scenario, where you fall into a state of depression, and also you can extrapolate and go into those discourses which you and the gentleman over there, Mike's, were talking about, the boundless feeling of being totally preserved for someone else's pleasure, in this case a higher being God, where your free will has expired. You don't have any choice but to do what he or she wants you to do. If that would be the case, I would very much argue that that conception of heaven is open for discussion. So the question whether or not life is for everyone or not could also be elaborated into an extended version of whether or not heaven is for everyone or not. This is just a question which I will contemplate after this session. And with that said, I would like to thank you for this session, because I must go away now and do some other things. So thank you very much for today.
Pleasure. We'll see you on Monday at the Social Dilemma. All right. Let's go back to Ultra Funky.
Yes. Okay. I was thinking a little bit what Emmy said and what Mike's said, and I was thinking like this: when you're depressed, your world gets pretty small, and that means that somehow you get a little bit selfish, and then it doesn't make you expand your mind. So being depressed doesn't mean that you're a bad person, and I think that even if you're depressed, you can enrich so many people with your life, for being the one you are, because you're not a bad person for being depressed. I just want to say that, in that case, there's a lot of pain, but there's no reason to believe that you're alone in this. It's gonna hurt, but you will get through it. That's the only thing I wanted to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you're in the same boat as many people, especially in COVID. Depression, I'm sure, and I know you have to be diagnosed. You can't just say you're depressed, but I'm sure a lot of people are in depression and they're doing whatever they can find to just find a little bit of light and positivity. And maybe things like Altspace, maybe just coming to an event like this does the trick. You know, we have the free will to choose our form of entertainment and where we want to spend our time and energy with. And as I always say, the greatest thing you can ever give somebody is your time. And Ali and I are just so grateful that you guys are all here and have stayed here. It's just incredible. Okay, then let's head to St. Justin.
Hey, so I got a couple things. First off, I just noticed this conversation went a little dark and a little depressing just in the conversation. I think there's a lot that we have to live for, and to view the universe as something where there's an overlord or something that, you know, that hurts us is in itself incorrect. The universe loves us. The universe sees us the same way that we see our brand new baby child. The universe takes care of us consistently, despite our attitudes, despite our childish actions, despite our, you know, freakouts, you know, despite everything that we do against it. The universe still sees us as the same way that we see a brand new baby that is our child. It sees us as our children. I don't want to encourage or go down the road where, you know, we see the universe as this oppressive entity, because it's not. It's loving, you know, far more than anything else. If anything, we create our own problems. We create our own disasters and our own hell and our own, you know, depression. We create it. The universe does the opposite. It gives to us consistently. Everything that we have, everything in our house, everything, the goggles you're wearing, anything that you have ever seen, the universe gave you. Without the universe, you know, nothing. You would have nothing. You would be nothing.
Yeah, I would say that the universe is us. We are the universe. We're made up of the most basic elements on the periodic table: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. And
we are the universe, and the universe is us, and be thankful and appreciative of that.
However, the universe can kill us in an instant anywhere outside of Earth without any measures. So it's not like the universe is welcoming us anywhere other than Earth. But that's evolution, obviously. That is pure.
And also the universe holds darkness. It also holds light. It's up to us what we choose to see and how we react to each circumstance.
I think we do have to always look at the positives and the negatives in that way. I understand Justin is super positive. I'm a little bit of both, you know, positive and negative, because the universe is definitely, first thing, it's killed 99% of all species. We are just at the top of the food chain, and we continue to do so until some other virus decides to come in and kill off the human race, and then all that's left are cockroaches. Okay. Oh gosh. Let's go to Scar. Hey Scar, sorry for keeping you waiting.
It's okay. There's so much to say.
Right.
Right. So, firstly, I think it's funny because Mike was saying, let's get away from the depression, but we just went right into it. I just want to open up by saying, you know, like, I think people are interpreting depression in different ways. Like, depression isn't a joke. It's not just being sad. A state of depression is really, really serious. So often if you are in a true state of depression and you're given an option, you know, go into a portal and you end your life and there's no pain involved, I'd say most depressed people, genuinely depressed people, are going to take that, especially if it's from a clinical origin, not circumstantial, because circumstantial can change. But anyway, so there's that. Also, what you were saying is life for everyone. Because I was thinking, who else is going to this heaven? Is heaven just for good people, or is heaven just for non-sinners? Like, who else is going here? Do I want to be in this place forever with these people? And then I think lastly, I'll close with my favorite quote, which is, a life without risk is no life at all. So if I'm in a heaven forever where there is no risk, I can have all the adventures but not have the risk. Where's the fun in that? What is the worth of my life if it never ends? So I'm still going into the portal, and it's not because I hate myself and I don't love life. It's because I love life. And that's it.
Deep. Thank you, Scar. Ali, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
How's it
Still
going?
listening. Good. So before we wrap up, let's go to the next hand raise. We've got two more. Billy Bob.
Thank you. I was actually just wondering, in this example, if you had someone who was in a relationship, you know, if you imagine you have a married couple and then they're in heaven and they're together, it always interested me how they would get along, because couples have disagreements, but how can you have a disagreement in heaven? So I was just thinking, if we imagine that we've got Ali and Tim in heaven, and Ali's version of heaven is to present the angelic dilemma, and she's doing that, and Tim's next to her and he's depressed. If Tim wanders off to one of these portals and vanishes, what's the impact on Ali? Have you just destroyed Ali's heaven? How does that work? Or does she become depressed and jump in? Is Tim the domino that destroys the entire universe of heaven? I don't want to put that on you when you're already depressed. Yeah. So I don't know how that would work.
Well, I think it's within it's within the dependency of the relationship of how much you need the person. You know, are you on the same frequency and bandwidth, wavelength, geez, like Timon, on the same wavelength at the same time within that certain period of time. But now the bigger question to ask is, if you are in heaven for an unlimited amount of time, and you do evolve within your thoughts and ideas, how long do you stay on that wavelength but before you diverse? Is it true that can you have a relationship that goes on for 10 million years, 1,000, 10,000, 10 million, years? And then you got to like ask yourself, the soulmate theory. But I think that is another idea for a moral dilemma, Ali.
Yeah, could be.
It definitely could be.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay, let's go to two more. And then we definitely have to call it quits. Oh, no, wait. Last person. Pete Wakeli.
Okay, just a very quick one. I'm just throwing something in here to think about a little bit. I don't know how old everybody is here. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm probably one of the senior members of the group. I've got most of my teeth, but I look at my life, and I even look 10 years, 20 years ago. I'm a very, very different person to who I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. When I'm 80 years old, I'm going to be a completely different person to the person I was when I was 10 years old. So when we get to be 1,000 years old, are we still us? If the me who exists now lives another 1,000 years, how much of the me that lives now still exists in that 1,000 years?
Well, the thing is, if you have a memory of who you were and who you are now, isn't that what you needed to take place in order to become who you are currently and presently?
I've had 47 years of memories, right? I overlay 1,000 years of memories on top of those 47 years. Those 47 years of memories are so diluted by those 1,000 years. When I'm 1,047 years old, there's very little of the me who exists today, who is speaking to you now, still left. By that time, I've already entered the portal. The me that exists today, that's sitting in my little room with my headset on, talking to everybody here, in 1,000 years' time, there's going to be very little of that me left, because of the child who I was, 40 years ago, the 7-year-old child who I was 40 years ago, that child may as well be dead, because that child and I are so different, and I have lost so many memories of that childhood. That child is dead. I'm a different being that has maybe a small fraction of that child still surviving in me. So in 1,000 years, how much of me who is here now still exists? Have we not already, as we know ourselves today, have we not already entered the portal once we've lived 1,000 years? And when we're talking about 10,000 years, 1,000,000 years, who we are today has already gone into the portal and ceased to exist.
However, you have the ability to recall these memories. When you go into the portal, the memories, all the information gets lost. And if you think about it, so your who you were when you were younger and who you are now are completely different. But as someone mentioned, I don't know if it was Ultra Funky, I can never remember names, but basically the information that is accumulated within the universe stays. And the information in your case are obviously memories. And the memories that you really want to keep, you will keep them. The most positive memories, or the most significant, memories, are the ones that you'll keep. Because if I ask you, what did you have for breakfast 3.5 weeks ago? You'd probably say, fuck knows. But if I said, do you remember your first kiss? You'll be like it was yesterday. Therefore, you have accumulated the memories that you want, you have accumulated your experiences, and you have gained this wisdom that you are able to partake and are able to help others and spread. And isn't that maybe the point of all of this? To gain information, to grow, to evolve, to develop, and to just improve?
Okay, yeah, I agree. I hear what you're saying, but let's imagine we have a glass, a large glass, and into this glass we pour a small amount of liquid. This is us now. Some of that liquid will be lost, we'll forget things, and then we have 1,000 years, we pour a large amount of liquid into that glass. This small amount of liquid that was originally in the glass is so diluted, it's a very small component of the contents of the glass.
However, it is all imperceptible, because you don't wake up one day, you don't just wake up one day and say, wow, I've changed like instantaneously. No. It is an imperceptible journey of the dripping into the glass, and before you know it, it's quite full. However, in heaven, there is no such thing as too full. But then we've got to then go back to the idea of time relativity. And if you think about it, this is how it works. I know it's the end of the event, but this is how it works. When you are 1 year of age and you go through an entire year, right? So you turn 2 years of age. You have lived 100% of your life. And time is so slow. So when you're 5 years of age and you live another year, you've lived 1/6 of your life. Then when you're 60 years of age, I'm not sure how old you are, but let's say if you're 55 years of age.
Not quite 60.
Okay. I mean, on Altspace, we're all the same age, except what comes out our mouth, that's wisdom. But when you're 55 and a year goes by, then it's 1/55 of your life. And a year is nothing. And that's why when people are saying that now the frequencies and the energies are changing because time's going so fast, No, that is human-centric. That is the fact that you're at a certain age where the years are going faster because you're getting older. But if a young kid doesn't say, geez, the years are going fast, for a 5-year-old, time goes extremely slow until they're 6 years of age, right? So when you're 999 years of age and you turn 1,000, that is just 1,000th of your lifetime. And now it's diluting.
It's a blink of an eye.
It's blink of an eye. And the time is now changing so relative that what is one of 1,000th? But we've got to save that for another day or a completely different event. Oh, we got Oh My Brain. We can do that for Oh My Brain. Thank fuck. All right. Well, anyway, I would like to conclude today and thank you very much for joining us. And make sure you befriend Ali as a friend. She will accept you wholeheartedly. Me, maybe, I don't know. But thank you a lot for joining and staying this whole time. I'm now unmuting you. And if you want, go to VR Digital Citizens group on Facebook for all these reminders, because next week we have the second part of this. I'm glad it was a huge success. I literally was going to can this question 2 minutes before we joined. And that's it. So have a good one. We'll see you in... When will we see you? Greek Mythologies on Sunday. We have the Social Dilemma on Monday. A little bit different. Well, quite different. And then Moral Dilemma in 2 weeks' time.